Hello, I'm Notes, and we finally come to our first album review of 2015. We have a new addition to the progressive rock catalog, plus 4626 minus Comfort Zone by Beardfish. Now, a bit of background about Beardfish before we dive into this album. They've been around since the early 2000s and formed back in the year of 2000. Their lineup has been consistent throughout most of their albums. We've got David Zackerson on lead guitars, Rickard Solblom on guitars and keyboards, Robert Hansen on bass, and Magnum Orensen on drums. Since 2006, they've been putting out an album pretty much every year or so. Each album has that kind of a whole or succinct sound to it. And there's always one song that's present on all of these albums that just make me melt and just make me hit that replay button over and over again. You know, we've got Roulette, we've got Sleeping in Traffic, we've got Coupe de Grace, we've got Without Saying Anything, and we've got Note. All of these songs are amazing songs that you all should have a listen to. So it's been over 2 years since the last album has been released, one of the longest breaks between albums, and I have to say, it was well worth the wait. Plus 4626 minus Comfort Zone is one of the best albums the band has put out probably since Sleeping in Traffic Part 2. Where other albums have been trying different techniques and different musical genres and musical styles, where we've got jazz more on Destined Solitaire or hard rock on The Void, taking those nuggets that they've developed in the past albums and applying them here. You still have the jazzy parts and you still have those hard rock parts, but instead of working in different entities, they're actually working in unison and together on this album. Now, there are still a few straight up rocking songs like Can You See Me Now, King, and Daughter Whore, where it's a bit shorter, a bit more succinct, a bit more realized, and less wandering around musically in the landscape. But of course, we still have those classic just wandering around, seeing what comes of, playing all over the place that Beardfish is so good at. So talking about just the music here, the guitars are doing most of the leading in this album. The keyboards are a bit more drawn back and a bit more laying the groundwork and the padding of the song. This is especially true for the title track of Comfort Zone, which is probably my favorite song on this album. It reminds me a lot of how King Crimson used the Mellotrons as that background atmosphere with the lead guitars really pushing the music forward. The guitars are also great in harmonizing with one another on this album. I love their playing on Hold On, and especially near the beginning of this song where you've got the two guitars playing really well with one another. Vocally, we have a little bit more of that raw, rocker kind of a feel on a lot of these tracks, even reaching the rocker yells on Hold On, King, and Ode to Rock and Rollers. But we also have some very intimate parts, vocally, on this album, almost like a singer-songwriter feel, especially on The One Inside Part 2, and also on Comfort Zone. We also have a lot of that boppy feel that we have throughout all of the albums. You know, they have that really great bass and bottom sound, which all of the instruments flow and follow, and each one kind of taking their own turn, kind of going away from that and then coming back. So looking at the album as a whole, it is a concept album, but unlike, say, Destined Solitaire, or even to some extent The Void or Sleeping in Traffic Parts 1 and 2, it doesn't follow a succinct storyline or a full stream of consciousness, but rather plays around the same themes and concepts. To illustrate this, we have The One Inside, Parts 1, 2, and 3. Parts 1 and 3 bookend the album, starting and finishing, and Part 2 is right in the middle, which provides kind of that whole sounding concept with each of these pieces playing the same theme, but in different ways and in different styles. You know, we have that kind of a echoey spoken word guitar and violins in Part 1, the introduction, and a very singer-songwriter, very intimate, just an acoustic guitar in Part 2, the interlude. And then we have the fully realized song in Part 3, the conclusion, a really well done structure of the album overall. You know, well done, sirs, well done. Obviously, the main theme of this album is breaking free of some kind of a comfort zone. Each song tackles a different viewpoint of this, and a different kind of comfort zone to get out of. One that I love best that really shows this is If We Must Part, A Love Story Continues. At least I think that's what it was. The album that I received, the 8th song on the album is the Ode to a Rock and Roller, and the 9th song is If We Must Be Apart. It seems like the title should be reversed, so I don't exactly know which one is which. That song 8 is Ode to Rock and Roller, and song 9 is If We Must Part. If it's wrong, I'm sorry, but that's just the one that I received. So If We Must Be Apart tells the tale of a struggling musician trying to kind of break out of their own comfort zone of musical playing, and all that they've been doing is playing the same 3 chords over and over and over again. That's all the audience wants to hear. So the audience is almost providing that break that they can't get across. When they finally break free and play this incredible new music with that guitar picking, that's really one of the most beautiful points on this album. You know, they kind of are taken, I don't know if it's metaphorically, but I'm interpreting it that it's metaphorically. They are taken to almost another dimension with their music that they're creating, and they can't believe this new area that they've been to. You keep hearing this, what is that sound? What's that sound in the background? You start to hear that the audience doesn't like it at all. You know, you hear a lot of boos when they finally open their eyes to see if the audience has followed them through. The audience basically just keeps saying, so long as you keep that beats pumping, we'll just keep it on the back beats, essentially. Just keep putting out that same stuff over and over again. One of the main themes that's also on this album is this concept of fighting to get out of that. And this isn't just like a mental fight, this also becomes physical at some points. And this can see on the Daughter Whore song, where they say, I'm getting physically stronger than I was before. I'm physically stronger than so my will is a command. Another interesting song that I really need to point out is the one that follows up Comfort Zone. It almost does a 180 switch on us, from a soothing, melodic, heavy atmospheric song to a very bouncy, fun song with Can You See Me Now? I keep picturing Leonardo DiCaprio just walking happily down the street while listening to this song. It's very bouncy, very kind of a strolling kind of a song. Years pass, but a change won't surely come. You know, it provides a very good contrast to a lot of the other songs on this album, and it's kind of like near the middle of the album too, where we kind of need that break. It's also interesting that the subject matter on the song is not cheerful at all, so I kind of love when they do that. It's almost ironic when you think about it. This album is the most Beardfish sounding album out of all of their albums, and it's the one that talks about breaking out of a comfort zone. So if you haven't heard these boys before, now is the perfect time to start getting into them. This is a great introduction to the band. It's hard, it's soft, it's very moving. Do yourself a favor and pick this album up. It looks like 2015 has started off on the right foot, and Beardfish has put that bar mighty high for everybody to follow. And again, I'd love to hear what you guys thought about this album. Did you love it? Did you feel it kind of a letdown? Did it break you out of your own comfort zone? Let me know. Alright, notes out.
Singing in the dead of night.